No drink now?
Pass the ball real life. Drink after.
Morning. Welcome to St George's Park here in the middle of Staffordshire. The weather not quite playing ball that we'd hoped, but we're certain to see some very interesting sevens as international rugby sevens comes back into the firmament. I'm Simon Ward, alongside me Rob Vickerman, former England sevens captain. Vix, this is such an opportunity that these teams have been waiting so long for.
So long for you, exactly right. What an opportunity for these teams. The excitement is palpable. You can already see them warming up behind us. So excited for this moment, just to be playing some action, to do some rugby against other teams, because you get so used to conditioning yourselves against each other. This opportunity is huge, and we've got to pay massive respect from the start, Wardy, and just how impressive it is to put this event on. Yeah, big kudos to all those staff, particularly from the RFU and others, that have managed to get this event together so quickly. Of course, this is the first step towards Tokyo, and that is the target for so many of these players. How much evolution are we going to see through this weekend, Rob? Because they've got 3 days of action. Yes, they're playing against the same teams, but the coaches will be hoping to see progression through the course of those 3 days. Exactly that. I think it'd be a very different entity for the Team GB coming into this, both the men and the women having been brought together, almost a Lions model, if you like. So it'd be really interesting to see how they progress. But certainly the teams that are used to playing with each other, we see Ireland behind us, also the French women and the USA men, they're going to be really wanting to set a standard, I think. You know, you're competing for a place to go to the Olympic Games here. So individually, it is huge. Collectively, you want to see that synergy and performance, but ultimately, these are trial games where you are judged on everything. And those players are just going to be jumping out the blocks because, as we've said, they've been waiting an awful long time to get here, and particularly for the GB squads, showing what they're about and looking for a place in that final. I think it's a squad of 13 that they're going to pick the end of June. So, as you say, this is an audition par excellence for these guys. You can't put any bigger emphasis on it, Wardy. It's for the Olympic Games. So these players here have sacrificed so much. We know that in difficult circumstances. They've had a schedule and agenda that's been ripped up, changed and thrown around more times than they probably care to say. So I think the emotions will be high within that. You've got to control the nerves and you've got to perform. This is a performance business and they are elite athletes. Well, let's hear from the camps now. We're going to hear from USA head coach Mike Friday. But first, I spoke to GB team leader Charlie Hayter. Charlie Hayter, GB team leader. Charlie, this has been a long time coming. How difficult has it been to keep this bunch of elite athletes on the simmer waiting for the boil?
Yeah, they've been really excited for a number of weeks now. I think we've done a lot of training GB v GB to get the opportunity for some international competition here at St George's. Is just so excited for the whole programme.
Unlike any of the other four teams, of course, you've got to amalgamate this group of players into two teams. How's that been going socially? How's it been going tactically?
Yeah, it's been a huge part of the coaches, the relationships with the players on a personal level, the people-to-people conversations and how we are as a group and as a team. Growing the kind of culture of what this GB side is all about was a massive part. We focused a lot on that as we came together with the programme, as well as the technical and tactical bits, but certainly putting the team and the ethos first was big for us.
You may not have got the weather you were striving for, but you've certainly got the facilities. Wonderful place to play.
Oh, fantastic. We're very lucky here to have this put on by everyone who's been behind the scenes to make this happen in such a short amount of time. We're massively grateful for the opportunity to be out here and competing again.
Well, enjoy the weekend, sir.
Cheers.
Friday, a whole host of emotions, no doubt, in the last 18 months, but just give us your state of mind right now before this tournament.
I mean, just excitement. I'm really excited for the boys. It's difficult to put into words the 18 months that they've been through, kind of on and off the pitch. No routine, no consistency, not knowing when they'll be able to take the pitch and if and what. And even with this tournament, we've had a little bit of that, and credit to the organisers in getting it together and getting it on. It's been a fantastic effort by all of those, so we all say thank you to them. But the boys are excited. They'll be a little bit rusty, I'm sure, but that's to be expected, and that's a good thing, I think, because that gives us perspective of where we are and where we need to get to. But yeah, great excitement back at the hotel here. Looking forward to a good day. Hopefully the rain will stay off.
It says looking around. Yeah, a bit of rain forecast. You mentioned emotions, but what are the expectations?
I mean, I've been clear with the boys. I think we have to recognise and realise that it won't be perfect and there will be mistakes, but nonetheless we're here to compete. And I'm looking for a physical performance. I'm looking for one that shows the effort and endeavour and the accuracy that we strive for, even if we're not achieving it every time. And it's the intent that's important for me. The intent to play, the intent to be physical, the intent to give me repeated efforts. That's what I'm looking for, because that's the DNA of us. We're a physical team, we're a powerful team, and we've got a fair bit of pace. So they're the attributes I want to see over the next 3 days.
And you mentioned about the traits of people, but from a coach's perspective, who are you really excited to see to go this tournament? It's going to be streamed worldwide. Who should we keep an eye out for?
We've got a host, a mixture. I'm really interested in Joe Schroeder, the shoulders. He's excelled over the last 12 months. Did very, very well in Madrid and has physically got himself into a good shape. So I'm interested to see how he goes. It'll be good to see some of the more experienced boys back, the likes of Stevie Thomason, Madison Hughes, Carlin Isles, to see where they're at. Martin Youssefo has been outstanding in everything he's done. He's in fantastic condition. But also look out for the likes of Maceo Brown, Marcus Topola, who are emerging and you know, pushing hard and looking to get themselves into that Olympic selection. We've got some new guys as well. Malachi Esdale, exciting young talent from the MLR, fresh in, could be a little bit naive at times, but has got lots of energy, enthusiasm, pace, fantastic step and great aerially. And then you've seen the bits and pieces of Harley Wheeler already. He's robust, he jumps around, he bounces about. So we've got a good mixture.
There we go, looking forward to it. I hope you have fun trying to explain to them how this is the home of football, but they've not really been well versed to that. But best of luck this weekend. Here we go.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know about the players, but Mike Friday and Charlie Hayter are obviously gagging to get going, and you can understand why. There's the Gary Lineker pitch. We'll talk more about that later. First game up, Ireland up against the GB7s in the men's competition. Let's take a look at the lineups for this first game. There's Ireland's lineup, some familiar faces in there. Billy Dardis, Jordan Conroy, of course, the try machine, wearing green. Terry Kennedy, another key cog in that Ireland 7. With some newbies on the bench, we shall be interested to see how some of those under-20s go. Aaron Sexton, of course, is a name that's been cropping up more and more in 15 circuit as well. So plenty of attacking threat there for Anthony Eddy to use. And the GB7s, the first lineup for this GB7s group. Dan Bibby, Tom Mitchell, of course, experienced operators who went to Rio back in the day. Tom Bowen in that group. Harry Glover back in the sevens mix. We'll talk more about him. Ross McCann on the wing as well from Scotland. And then on the bench, well, there will be some blanks. I just warn you now, there will be some players with blank shirts this afternoon. And well, over the course of the next 3 days. So we will do our best to ID people accurately. We shall see how we go. Tony Rock with his first lineup as head coach. Rob, what do you make of that group? Is that it's the first start, and as we said earlier on, this is going to be an evolution over 3 days.
It's completely going to be an evolution, Wardy. You're exactly right. Really interesting to see 6 Englishmen, 1 Scotsman named in that team. Really going to see how they're going to blend together, because as well as talking about these players coming together for the first time, it's about those combinations, trying to make sure that you start playing well with players who, well, you play with nationally, but this is a very unique situation for this GB team. Many people will be seeing this perhaps for the first time. Think almost like the Lions model. You're bringing together England, Scotland and Wales, and that is very exciting. Against a very strong Irish team, that's the other thing I'm excited to see, how they're going to go.
Yeah, Ireland really have got so much to play for, and you can see they're a good physical outfit, but it's the speed. And you look at Conroy and you look at Kennedy, and you just see the cutting edge that they possess.
Kennedy
Aaron Sexton, we are going to mention him a lot this weekend.
Yeah, he's going to get a lot of game time, I hope, because he is an Irish schools sprint champion. Low 10s for the 100 metre for him, but that's the man in shot there. You see Conroy, going to hear him a lot. The way he plays with Toe Kennedy and has done on the HSBC World 7 Series, they're 2 of the best finishers. So the GB team are going to have to be on their mettle. And look at his swagger as he gives you a wink to the camera. If anyone is watching this just on their social media, that guy is one of the weirdest you'll see on Instagram.
Well, if you're watching us from the Emerald Isle, very good morning to you. Great to have your company over the course of this weekend and see what your boys are going to do. First up, women are going to follow after this game, but Anthony Eddy getting this group sorted and ready. It's a very interesting tactical setup, because much as we talk about the HSBC World 7 Series, there aren't any really form guides because they haven't been playing for so long. And of course the GB7s is a mix.
It's exactly it, Woody. So these players are a long time wanting to have played. Cast your mind back last February, my phone reminded me just the other day actually, for the Canada Sevens, and that's a long time ago for these players, and the emotion they've been through since. Clearly the English and the Welsh disbanding their Sevens programs, really not great position to be in emotionally. This is a huge opportunity, and these players, you can see smiles on faces. So good to see these players in this Sevens environment with a new shirt and unified by those colours, and just getting ready to ramp it up. As I said before, Olympic trial, this is no bigger opportunity for them than what we're seeing today.
And of course Richard Carpentier, Chippy getting his back in shot first up. There's Conroy, and well, nobody scored more tries than that man through the course of the last HSBC Sevens tournament, so you just know now what he's about. People will be aware of the threat.
Yeah, they know it's second season syndrome, don't they? But he's been doing it for years, Conroy, and I think the matchups he's going to have today with Dan Norton against him, the HSBC World 7 Series leading try scorer, and also Carlin Isles, who still thinks he's in London, bless him, but we'll give him that. There's going to be some athletes on show here. You're well versed with the football references here at St George's Park, but there are some of the biggest names of World 7s about to take your screens.
Even Hyde Park doesn't look like this. I mean, it is a quite wonderful facility here in the middle of Staffordshire. It is in the middle of nowhere. It feels like above and beyond, but the facilities are startling and really, really good. 330 acres of lush green woodland with some real quality facilities that the footballers have used previously, and now the Sevens players are looking to make the most of. Well, our referee will have no problem keeping up with play, because it's Richard Horton on the whistle for this first one. Tom Mitchell is going to be the man to get play underway. And off we go for the Red Bull Rugby Sevens. Mitchell hanging one high. The ball will get a little bit damp. There's been a fair amount of rain through the course of the last few days. Great break already from Aaron O'Sullivan. Well, Horton laying out the law on the breakdown already. Bowen being manhandled by Mullin.
We're seeing a little bit of the tentative rustiness, as Mike Friday spoke about before. A few errors, few turnovers in the breakdown. All important, as we always say with Sevens. Two things to really keep an eye on in this game specifically. That aerial battle of the restarts, and also how well they compete at the breakdown. Ireland crucially missing their talisman, who plays every single minute usually. Harry McNulty, hopefully he'll be watching this from his penthouse, I believe, in LA. He'll probably reference that on his Instagrams as well for the Gultinis. But yeah, they're going to miss a bit of dog today. So one thing they have got is pace of plenty. Let's hope we see it.
Billy Dardis with the feed. Conroy hanging out wide, waiting for his first touch. Good defence coming in from Bowen there. He needed to make that tackle. He's looking to peel it back. Dardis, as ever, the fulcrum of so much of Ireland's attacking intent. Prevent. Tackle! Kennedy being wrapped up in midfield, but Ireland doing well to present that ball. This is where the GB7s will really be tested defensively, because that communication, not familiar, unfamiliar voices maybe in there on the left and right.
We're on the ball.
And beginning to get some phases together and as a consequence getting some momentum. But just as they begin to build, so it opens up for GB. Mitchell gets the call from Bowen into the Ireland 22 for the first time in this game. Glover out to Bowen, and Bowen gets the first try of this weekend. Tom Bowen on the board.
Oh, Bowen's looking really sharp at the start of this game. Mitchell once again in the middle, so pivotal as often is in the game of sevens. We really like how Bowen takes his moment there, bit of footwork to finish it. Good work in the middle as well. Coombs, one of the Scots playing amongst these Englishmen.
I tried to.
As well as McCann representing the blended nationalities, but lovely work on the outside. The stand-up, the pace to get round. Nothing Cribbin can do against that one. Bowen is just all out wheels.
Bowen is often one of those that isn't mentioned an awful lot when you've got the likes of Norton, Mitchell and Bibby around, but he has got that cutting edge and that innate talent almost to be able to open up defences.
Yeah, well, people who watched 15s a few years ago would have seen him do this for many times over for Plymouth. And he's got the pace of the wing of 15s, but he also often plays as a prop in sevens, so trying to make himself a bit of a dual role in the game.
So, first score on the board goes to the GB7s. Yes, Ireland have got another tournament in mind because we're talking about Tokyo. Because Ireland haven't qualified as yet. They've still got that tournament in Monaco. That's going to be 19th and 20th of next month. Ireland will be in the group with Samoa, Tonga, Mexico and Zimbabwe, so it'll be a physical threat and a physical challenge for the men in green. Right now, the challenge is coming from the men in black.
Hands on the floor first.
Or is it blue? It's a bit dark here. Change of option coming in there from Harry Glover.
Bibby with a delicate little chip over, wasn't it? Saw a bit of space in behind, thought he'd just try and give Glover a chance to get over it, but couldn't quite get them because the ball was put down. Indian goal goes to 22. Don't see many of these in sevens. 22 restart, plenty of options across. You can kick it long, obviously. Look for that little cheeky chip in short, or as with restarts, just make it an aerial contest and try and get the ball back for your team.
The kicking tactics have been far more prominent, particularly in the men's game in the last 2 or 3 years. Talking to Mike Friday during the week, and he was highlighting how much it's now used in order to facilitate, particularly in attack, and open up what had previously been very, very tight defences. Kennedy trying to get Ireland going from deep. Making sure that there's plenty of cohesion in that defensive line.
And this is what Ireland did really well, just keep hold of the ball. They played their width, they've got pace right across this back line, and it's that half chance often for Kennedy to exploit, with Conroy not normally too far away.
Kennedy again. Just dictating Ireland's point of focus, really. The last minute of this first half.
Horton picked up a bit of a knock-on at the breakdown there, so chance again for Ireland to use this split field possession. You can just tell from the body language, these guys are absolutely hanging. It is so difficult to try and replicate any type of match play in any training scenario, so they can really are feeling their legs will be burning, their lungs will be expanding to new levels, certainly in the last year that they've just not really played into. So fatigue can have many, many effects on the game of sevens. Your thought of process, your action to try and execute a skill set, but this is great, grade A ball for Ireland.
You can, well, using cricket parlance, you can have as many nets as you want, but when you get on the square, it's a different game.
I feel like we should be going for football references, Wardy, rather than cricket.
maybe. I'm sure we can build them in through the course of the weekend.
Can't replicate the penalty.
Gary Lineker pitch.
There we go.
Gary Lineker, who'd have thought he'd be hosting a rugby tournament?
Cheeky little retweet off him this morning as well, actually. To the 8 million Gary Lineker followers who clearly will be following up that link to watch this game.
Made your day, isn't it?
It has, actually.
Kennedy takes a wander down the left-hand side. To the 22. And spreading right.
Not holding their body weight. So again, really interesting how the referees are interpreting this, because in sevens what you get compared to 15s is a lot more vision for a referee to see what is happening at that breakdown. You get split seconds to adjust to it, but it's how you put your body at the right angle to try and secure that breakdown. And GB at the moment are getting the upper hand in that battle. And interestingly here, chosen for a scrum. So, as mentioned before about trying out different combinations, you've got Mitchell putting the ball at scrum half, Bibby directly behind the scrum, and then Pacer plenty out wide with Glover's offloading skill, and Bowen, no doubt, looking to benefit. Harry Glover in the middle, he gets offloads from nowhere.
Yeah, we'll talk about Glover in a minute, back in the sevens mix. I see news that he's going to be playing for Stade Francais in the top 14 next season.
And this is why.
Here we go. The little cut back, and it is Glover who strides away for what is a very important score at the end of this first half. Stade Francais' new boy shows what it's about for GB7s.
And this is why everyone's excited to see him back in the mixer. You know, 6'4", he's got arms as long as his 3/4 of his body, it looks like, when he walks back, and his hands are absolutely monstrous. So he is an offload machine. People often cite Sonny Bill Williams and his escapades in offloading, and having seen him play sevens as well, I put Harry Glover in that category. He is honestly so incredible with that ball in his hand, and he runs a wonderful line. Put on a bit of timber, perhaps with a few more baguettes across in France, in the south of France, in Carcassonne.
That's harsh. That's harsh.
No doubt he will confess it himself, but what a cultural experience for him.
You mentioned one all-black centre. Of course, he could be playing outside another, and Ngani Lamape being announced in the same time. So what a great experience for a young man that could be.
Oh, wow, that's a dream combination in the centre. You know, you're not going to compete too much against Lamape. Certainly stay out of his way if he's running straight, but what an exciting opportunity. He's a great story, Harry Glover, because this is what he's known for, just running hard and fast. As he does a bit of hard work as well. Bowen on the outside, gets round, Cubbin, no stopping him. But in terms of his route, he wasn't your classic rugby player, Harry Glover. He didn't court those academies and go into first team action. Went to university up at Newcastle, stayed within the England 7 setup, but very much ticked the educational box as well, which happily will champion any day of the week. So not only is he a fantastic rugby player, he's got a degree to his name as well.
There was the first try in that first half from Tom Bowen, getting GB off to a secure start, and you can see Glover's strength there, and then Bowen with the finishing prowess to get outside his man.
Interesting to see the referees in the middle of the field now as well. What an opportunity for them. They will also be going to the Olympics. So no doubt they're finding their rugby lungs, having not probably done as much running as they'd like, and Harry Glover just showing what he is all about.
You see Glover nailing that second score just before the half-time whistle. Yeah, we've got some of the top sevens referees on duty this weekend. Richard Horton, of course, being an ex-player, has such a good understanding of what the sevens game is about, and as I mentioned, that athleticism as well.
Yeah, there he is. You know what's a bit demoralising there, Woody, is the fact he's probably about the third fastest on the pitch. It's always a bit devastating when the referee runs past you, from personal experience.
Well, you used to play with him, I presume. You must have played tournaments.
Used to call him the Prince Harriman Mark II. For anybody of a certain ilk knows what Andrew Harriman's at.
Yeah, the Queen's Flyer. 93 World Cup. Sevens World Cup. Kennedy. Having to try and stay strong in the contact. Ireland now just need to build, just need to hold their game plan in place and then try
Tackle!
and open the door for the likes of Jordan Conroy.
Lovely defence in the middle, been really impressed. Alec Coombs, number 3 for GB, looking really formidable, making those low chop tackles, but not only that, gets back to his feet and competes for the ball as well. The big facet of the game, as we're saying, every single time you see sevens, that battle, the breakdown, and I really like how Coombs is going.
Yeah, big opportunity for Alec Coombs, just 25 years of age, grew up in Hong Kong, so he's seen all the Hong Kong sevens, he's seen all of what that's about. Now getting the chance to play at the highest level, not actually played in the Hong Kong sevens at the moment, but he really is showing so well, both for Scotland and certainly initially for these GB7s. Jordan Conroy trying to pick up the scraps there, but just losing his footing at a critical time. Bowen, some audacious chip back to Mitchell. Mitchell gets the ricochet and the rebound.
Advantage green.
And suddenly we're playing football here at St George's Park.
No better place for it.
Conroy recovers things.
Advantage over.
It's another go. Jordan Conroy just looking for a half metre of space to get his foot onto the floor, so to speak. He's struggling to make much headway through this really tight black line. Now, is it opening up now? They're getting the continuity, the men in green, without actually getting the thrust that they're looking for. Making a little bit more headway now. Dardis trying to feed out to the wing. Again, GB closing the door, but suddenly it opens. And just as I say that, it's Ireland who do get that score that they craved.
And it's Kennedy, the man who has been asking questions every time he gets the ball. Sadly there, Coombs, I think he's emptied a bit too much of his energy at the breakdowns, because there it was a little bit too easy for Terry Kennedy to get round him. But again, good discipline, good defence initially from GB, but this Irish team so comfortable at keeping the ball. They've got a great skill set. You combine those two elements, it's only a matter of time till they eventually get over the try line.
And when you stitch those faces together like they do, it's always going to just put a little more anxiety into defensive lines. And there was Kennedy getting around the Scottish prop to open the scoring for Ireland. Kennedy running 17 tries in that truncated season last season in the World 7 series. Been a mainstay really of this group for 6 or 7 years or so. This whole weekend going to play in a similar way to the pools in the World Series. So 3 points for the win, 2 points for a draw, 1 point for the loss. And we'll see how the tables evolve and work through the course of these next 2 days.
Tackling some more quicker.
Well, Horton blown there for the Irish, not rolling away. No doubt Mitchell wanting to keep this pace high, test the skill set under that fatigue as we mentioned.
Glover trying to straighten things up before the work back comes from Bowen. Bowen thought he saw an opportunity there with that little chip through. Didn't happen on that occasion, but it's still there for the GB7s. It's good footwork. Working their way up thanks to Ben Harris's work there on the right wing. Now it comes out to the left. The little shimmy from Coombs. Presentation is good. Huge throw out, and suddenly GB getting a little bit more width on the ball. And as a consequence, a few more gaps starting to appear, but handling just letting them down there.
Ken Dallin with some really good chop tackles in the middle. And just again, look at the body language. These players supremely fit, yet their tanks are absolutely emptying, a bit of black smoke perhaps coming out the exhaust system. Oh, and I tell you what, it's brilliant
Careful.
to be able to see how they're going to respond to this, because this is exactly what these players will want. As dark and as desperate as these moments are, when you can barely think, let alone talk, you need to be tested at this level, and it's a sadistic feeling. You almost chase it. You want that hit. But really good defence from Ireland. That's why they've had the chance now to attack once more. They've had a few changes in their back line.
Bind.
Let's see how they're going to get on.
Set.
Got 7 debutants in the group this weekend, so there's quite a few out there, Kendellen included, who are getting their first experience of international sevens. They've been playing with the academies from Munster, Leinster. Connor just working against them in in-house competition, if you will. But of course, as we keep saying, it's a different game. Going up against some of the quality boys that they'll be facing this weekend.
Bind. Step.
And just that collision, that out-and-out competition for tackles and breakdowns, you don't ever go at that level all the time in training. So a game really does test it in a different way.
The duress that they'll be going through now as GB try and find that more direct route, handling again just not where they hoped it would be this early. And GB,
30 seconds.
Tony Rock beginning to make changes off the bench now. Morgan Williams out there going out the left wing, the Welsh flyer.
Very excited to see how he's going to go. Really rangy player. Like 6'4", 6'5", but he flies as well as having great footwork. So he's someone to keep an eye out for. And Robbie Ferguson coming in to pull the strings in the middle.
Yeah, Scotland Sevens captain in, and immediately making his presence felt on Dardis.
Same as you before. So you stop.
Oh, he got the look.
You don't stop off.
He's getting the dad look from Richard Horton. You do not mess about. Look at the smile on his face.
Not like Dell ever did that, really. He was always too
Stay
wide.
out of the way, exactly. You just finish your job.
Bind.
Bowen's going to have his work cut out that top side of the screen against him. That is the famed name of Sexton, but followed with Aaron this time. He is rapid, low 10s for the 100 metres. Takes a little while to get going, but when he does fly, you can see he's got an out-and-out pace.
Made his Pro 14 debut recently, and I know all those folks around Ulster are very excited about what he possesses. Chip over, but the kick doesn't really work. And as the clock is ticking down towards 0, it looks like GB are going to get the first ribbon for the game. Yep, Richard Horton has decided enough is enough for this one. Final score, Ireland 7, Great Britain 12, as we get this weekend of Red Bull Rugby Sevens underway.
Hide, it's fine. Hope not.
2 tries in
No,
the
same way.
both in the first half
Just need to.
from GB. That first one from Bowen. Great
Oh yeah, you
finish
probably did, didn't you?
from the England man.
Only
And then
for
it was another England man, Harry Glover, that was on hand in the right place at the right time. This Glover indeed setting up that Bowen try.
So when you came outside, then you got it.
But then it's good that you told me, so I will come there.
Wonderful footwork, wasn't it? Just squared him up, got on the outside. So difficult to stop it when you do get made to be static. And conversely, a little bit more route 1 for GB's second, wasn't it?
What are you going to wait for?
And here comes the second, and Glover on that line. It's a well-practiced training ground move from the big centre.
It's so difficult to stop that change of direction. Everybody following Mitchell, and then big Harry straight through, and he's got the pace. Look, Dardis getting nowhere near him in the chase back. Sends out a little bit of a vacation down in France. Isn't a bad thing overall.
Do you want us to stop
No,
recording between games?
Carcassonne for the last few months as a medical joker. And then in the second half, Kennedy, the sole scorer for Ireland. And, well, They'll be glad to get points on the board, but lessons learnt, no doubt, from that first run out.
It certainly was, and the one man we'd say would mention, Kennedy, still got it.
So we've seen the men start. Now we're going to get into the women's competition. Ireland up against France. Now, this has got familiarity to it, if you will. They played against each other in Pool C in Sydney in February of last year. There's the starting Ireland sevens. Stacey Flood back in the sevens group. Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe, of course. A familiar name, Lucy Mulhall, the captain, Eve Higgins. The main cog, in many ways, the way that the youngster has built herself into this side. Aidan McNulty has picked a very strong starting seven there for this first run out. David Cortex similarly has put plenty of experience on the pitch. Believe me, they are on the pitch, even though you may not be able to see the names there. Here they come, through the mists. Akemba, Conde, Yenko, there's plenty of talent within that group, and this will be an interesting one. France have held sway in this comp, 40 points to 14 in that Sydney match. 6 tries they ran in on that occasion, and then in Hamilton the round before they put 5 tries over, winning 35-7. So both teams will know each other fairly well in this one.
Advantage blue, knock on. Advantage over. Tackle.
Here we go. Interesting to see how France evolves. Talking to David Cortex last night, and he was keen for them to get underway quickly, get out of the blocks and get their flowing game working. Shannon is up, looking for opportunity. Good defence from the Irish girls, really working their French opposition back towards their own try line, but here they come. This is when they can be so dangerous. Little cut back. Working that ball up towards halfway, but the ball goes loose, and well, Ireland trying to make something of it. It's still in French possession. They try and work out wide.
Hold it on.
Fanny Bertrand, Fanny Orta. Familiar names both in 7s and 15s. Penalty goes to Ireland, and now their first real chance to get some attacking threat. They kick through. Is it going to work for them?
Scrum or
Just
22?
heading dead.
Well, Lane again, really picking up the
Scrum
theme of this footballing skills out here at St George's Park. Good discipline initially from the Irish to try and combat this French attack. They've got some really potent defenders. There's one of them about to get the ball now. Serafina Kemba, she gets it in space. She is gone.
France have got the variety. Good awareness though from Ireland.
Advantage blue, knock
They're
on.
trying to now really mount the attack with Eve Higgins. Using the ball out
never back on side,
at a critical time, and well, I mentioned earlier, it's going to be something of a damp ball. It may not be the easiest ball to control. And certainly with the adrenaline floating through bodies, it's not going to be
She's attacked the
easy
ball.
just to settle themselves into
No,
the
she's
game.
attacked the ball. She attacks the
That's
ball.
clever
Play
play,
on.
Bizarre. They're recognising there was no one in behind for the Irish. They're playing with flat 7, which means there's space all in behind, but just these little tiny errors are really creeping in the game now.
Scrum.
You mentioned about conditions, exactly that. This ball gets greasy, so hard to keep hold of it.
Still some rain in the air. Camille Grassano in the French group this weekend. She's injured. Romain Maniger, of course, had that horrible injury. That's going to unfortunately keep her out for 3 months and out of Tokyo. Still to qualify for the Olympics. But
No, it's gone from one into the other, so it's
every
forward.
chance of doing
Scrum,
that.
blue ball.
Unfortunately won't be making that particular journey.
It's part of a massive month for this French team. The women here looking to set a bit of a standard to really kick on and take back to their training camp ahead of the Monaco Repogé, where they're looking at getting that ticket, that elusive ticket to head to Tokyo.
You would think France and probably Russia will be odds-on favourites to make sure they came out of that particular tournament, but right now they get their first score. Looks like Carl, I think. Going back, no. Try has been awarded. Neeson it was. And worked her way over. And Shannon Izar with should be a relatively simple gift of 2, and France with 7 on the board.
You only have to watch the Guinness Six Nations to know how physical these French women are. They just run hard, run straight, so difficult to tackle them. And it is Route 1, Nielsen just too powerful, too strong.
The Blagnac sends are really being able to swat away defenders there and drive to the line.
Mulhall will be disappointed with that though. It's one of the better defenders for this Irish team as well. Got to get a little bit closer, because you give this French team confidence, as with any French team, it becomes a whole lot harder.
The take from Stacey Flood. Tyrrell, of course, in this group. The Galvin's now retired after the Sydney tournament. No longer in the programme. Baven Parsons and Dorothy Wall, I'm told they've just completed their college exams, so they've had other things understandably on their mind, let alone the Six Nations. Back in training now, but not in this group here this weekend. Desperate to make something of almost unexpected possession there.
Holding on their penalty, not quick enough in support. Game of sevens is always needing to be fast thinking with and without the ball.
Conde trying to get the tackle in, but here come Ireland, and just as I say that,
Scrum.
Bill's just unable to hold on.
Unfortunately, another handling error there, Wardy. We've seen a few of them in this game specifically, but also the one previously. It's an amalgamation of many things. That adrenaline, excitement, nerves, fatigue clearly, and a bit of the greasy ball. Put it all in the mix. You'd always spin it and say it's chance to test your first phase play. That's how you'd spin it.
9.
Is that what the coaches would say?
Hopefully it's what they'll say.
Maybe not in quite so many words, but yeah. France looking to get that width early on. They've got such strength outside. Serafina Kemba, one of those very versatile, athletic forwards that has the capacity to strike out wide. Nice handling. Izar. Up to halfway. The offload is there for Conde. And centre for Bobigny in the 15, so you know that she's got the speed if required. Looking round the corner. That's good defensive work from Ireland. Look at the way that they've pushed France back towards their own 22. But they have to hold the line, have to hold the concentration. And Conde breaking out to Siafani. Well, we know what pace she's got. Good defensive structures there from Ireland, really working hard, but making the tackles count.
They did indeed. The shoulders going in, so difficult when players are running laterally to keep up with them along the way, but that's really good effort. And again, just seeing these effort levels are on show. Players looking pretty tired.
Half-time whistle has been blown by Adam Jones. Just that solitary score from Carla Neeson to give the French the advantage, but the early blowout will have got rid of a lot of dust. 7-0 that should read. I think the conversion went over from Shannon Izar.
Anything offside, I think it'd be good.
But
we had that one over
David Cortex will be satisfied with the way that his team have found that the thrust, and there's the lady who provided the thrust for the tricolour Neeson. But on several occasions now, they've managed to straighten up and really test the elasticity of the Irish defence.
Unfortunately, the Irish defence has been a lot better than what we've just seen in those few seconds there, because that missed tackle led to the try. It's so easy to score in sevens. If you're missing those first two tackles. From the set piece, you can see the forwards getting held in tight, which means that inside's not covered, and that is the gap exploited brilliantly from these.
Just on top,
How many times have we said it in sevens tournaments? Tackling technique is exposed cruelly in some cases, and as well as the Irish have defended through the course of that first half, a couple of dropped tackles and the tries on the board for those ladies. Dare I say it, I think I can see a little bit of sunshine coming through in this part of Staffordshire. And if it's not the sun, it's the moon that's been left over. But at least it's getting a little bit lighter. It has been a drizzly old morning coming into the first day of this tournament. There is the fixture list that we're going to see in the men's tournament. That's into Monday, and well, let's put it this way, three teams will know each other very well by the time they leave St George's Park.
And three really different reasons why this is going to be exciting to see. The USA already qualified, wanting to really get their combinations going. GB up for selection, already got the ticket for Tokyo, so many things to talk about there. And Ireland, who again, like this French team, are pushing towards that qualification through their last chance saloon out in Monaco.
So the words of wisdom have been imparted from the two coaches. Now Ireland trying to get themselves back with Emily Lane, captain the Ireland under-18 sevens group. A while ago, she's been a real leading force, really committed, plenty of energy, and of course at half-back dictating so many of the tactics that this Irish group are trying to put into play.
Release first.
Good hit coming through there.
A massive shot. Siafani, that is a statement.
Just working towards this near side. Not much room for Ireland to play with, and you can see, well, that French line has got staggered now. Can Irish make something of this? The ball going loose. And it's France who pick up the pieces. Bertrand. Seems like yesterday she was named as the Rookie of the Year for the HSBC World Rugby Women's 7 Series. 3 years ago, 2018. Just pulling the defender on before giving that feed, and that's what makes the space.
Full green.
Oh, another error. It's getting frustrating to see on that far side. Condé, we just want to see go with it. She's an absolute athlete. But this Irish defence all over the French.
Condé actually made her French debut a couple of years ago in the 15s. Played against New Zealand. That's the start and a half, isn't it? Welcome to international rugby.
Well, at least she came back, because that's pretty formidable.
You can get through that, you can get through anything, right?
Bind. Set.
5 minutes left of this game. Ireland still trying to get some occupation in French 22. The little kick through working this time. Oh, that's difficult for Murphy Crowe. Quite there, but just a change of tactics, almost opening up that French line.
Yeah, really good tactic. I think there's going to be a bit of a conversation here, though, because it looked like it was carried into the corner. Nice little clever kick. The only downside of it was it hit her knees on this second slide, so when she goes in for it...
Time off. 10 green.
Sophie Nakemba doesn't quite deal with it. It doesn't get carried, and she waited. Therefore, that's actually should be a 22, really.
So scrum, green ball.
If I shout it loud enough, they might hear me.
It is taking place right in front of our truck.
Bind.
If I let Vickerman go, he'll probably put the feed into that one. The cut round. Mulhall calls for the ball. Mulhall with the feed. And there's the try. That's what Ireland have been working so hard for. Really well worked. First phase strike from the girls in green.
Lovely little play out the back. Makes the centres dive in, and then it's just a simple 2-on-1. Lovely execution of skill. Gets the ball wide. And then it is the one and only Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe who does it anywhere around the world with a plum.
Yeah, the Tipperary try-Tyro is on form once again. It won't count, of course, towards that century of tries she's craving in the World Series. 98 she's racked up in 131 games, but opening their account in this tournament, that was a good strike.
Really good strike.
Well,
Fatally immoral with it.
Immoral?
Not been there. 5 metre scrum should have been a 22.
We ain't going there this weekend, surely. Well, it's worked out to Stacey Flood. Are they going to have a 1-2 here?
Advantage over
Higgins, Mulhall with the baton. Now it works off, and it's in for Murphy-Crowe, and it is a brace for Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe, a brace for Ireland, and they have their noses in front.
2 tries in 2 minutes, and it shows how pivotal that restart is. It all came from that. And as soon as the ball was kept, look at that lovely flick on in the middle. Mulhall, exceptional skill set, and as we've said time and time again, needs no space at all, yet alone 15 open metres to run into. Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe bags a second.
Well, Ireland turning this one around in the space of a minute. Really well worked tries. The first phase strike, the second making the most of the retake from Stacey Flood. And before you know it, that lady's got 2 tries in the bag, and Ireland have got the lead. So, how are France going to respond to this? They need to keep the ball, that's for sure.
option, knocking on touch. Line out taken, we play on. Backwards, play on. Onside.
Well, France breaking away, and suddenly they've worked the ball to Carla Neeson. And anything Murphy-Crowe can do, Carla Neeson can respond. And here we go, 12 all.
A couple and with a couple. And full length action here at St George's Park. The French fed up with seeing the Irish have all the possession and territory. They want a bit of their own. And there's a bit of a breakout. Again, the ladies so pivotal to everything in the middle. Serafina Kemba, used to these conditions in the UK, playing with Saracens, but
10 seconds.
Come back to the sanctuary of Stade Francais, and now giving opportunity out there again to get the ball free, and it's a cruising for Nielsen.
Conversion's good as well. So it's France with their noses in front. Good kick from Chloe Jacquet coming off the bench to good effect, the 19-year-old.
Okay, keep the time going here.
And then she will
Yeah, that's
have
right,
the restart. Final minute, and France with that 2-point buffer, but it's a slender buffer to say the least.
Holding on.
Critically, French getting the call from the referee. And here come France again, Jacquet straightening things up. She's got the conversion. She's looking for another try just to solidify things. Chloe Pell, well, she is a cannonball of a player.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a good call.
We're
End
through
of
for
time.
Coralie Bertrand, but there we see France suddenly
call.
turning it round. And that's full-time whistle from Adam Jones. And just when Ireland thought they'd sneaked it, the French have shown what they're about.
Oh, and that typifies a game of sevens, doesn't it, Wardy? 7-0 down, Ireland getting that score from that crucial bit of referee interpretation in the corner led to that initial try for Emily Murphy-Crowe. Then very quickly she got a second, but that is tenacity of the highest degree from the French. You can see them striding off, very physically imposing, and that's a huge psychological boost for them as well.
Smiles on the faces in the French camp with that full-time score. Ireland 12, France 14, and the French getting the start that they were after. Some quality scores from both sides. So it really bodes well for this weekend.
Similar to the first game, we see this first phase score, a little bit of interplay of the forwards, help the opposing player in, and then it's all too easy for Neeson just to run hard and straight. You can see the angle. Two players on their feet at the scrum, not enough, and that gap exploited brilliantly.
Seeing two first phase scores in this game, is that indicative of defensively where they're at in the first run out?
Yeah, and another one that came from the same thing as well. You know, you say about these combinations people are trying in training, you don't know how it's going to work against opposition that have got no idea, because you try and do this against your teammates, they know the moves, they know the patterns, so very interesting to see how things react, and it's a wonderful adjustment, a couple of nice bits of interplay from this Irish backline specifically, and give no more invitation to Emily Murphy-Crowe than that. She is going to take it every single day, and this is a lovely tip on the inside. Mulhall, very experienced sevens player, and those two in combination again, just like the men with Conroy and Kennedy. Such a dangerous couple of players on the sevens field.
You see how the work of Mulhall, so aware of making sure that the opportunity and then the final try, the denouement of this game, working its way back to the Blagnac centre. Critically, of course, the conversion it was that sealed the deal for Les Bleus. But, very interesting game for their first run out for both teams. So that's the end of the first chapter, if you will, of this weekend. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for your company. Join us again when we will get going for chapter 2 p.m. Next game kicks off, so join us just before then as we look forward to more sevens action. See you later.